Hi everyone, welcome to the 2020 Spring Screencast. And what a few weeks it's been, and what an unusual spring break it's been for all of us. We've had to adjust over the last few weeks and readjust and then readjust to COVID and what that means to us as educators, as well as what that means as parents, family members, and individuals. It's a lot of anxiety, it's a lot of unknowns. And it's tough. But as one wise person told me this week, this too will pass. We will get through this. We need to do our best to support each other and our students during this time when many of the things, the way we've done things, has so drastically changed, and I know that we will. I know that there are so many people who have stepped up to help, and I just want to thank a few. Kathy, Caro, Tim, your work helping to get our distance learning devices set up and supporting teachers with that. Thank you. Teachers, of course, thank you for all your work you've done to quickly adapt to online teaching in an incredibly short time frame. Devin T, Jenny T, and Andrew, thank you for reaching out to Westwood staff as well as other schools as we change here. Paraprofessionals stepping up with help with childcare and food distribution on a dime. Thank you for that. Lisa, Christine, and Margaret in food service, thank you for your help with the food distribution to help our students. Amy and Chris and Gabe and Devin and Leanne Doherty, our office support staff, thanks for all of your work behind the scenes supporting us and our students. It is greatly appreciated. And as I said, I know I'm missing many others. I know that there are many things that we'll need to figure out going forward. But this I do know that our community will figure it out because of the way that we support and collaborate and work with each other. Thank you for all that you're doing. I'm very proud to work with you, and it does not go unnoticed, so thank you. So enough with the mushy stuff. Let's get on to the work at hand. Just a number of things I want to share with you. So here we go. Weekly bulletin. A few things I want to share here. You can see that I put out some Hangout times, Google Hangout times with different grade levels, sort of like what we did last week, but I'm doing that with 2 grade levels at a time. I'll send out links to that shortly so that you can access those. Just know those are coming up. PBIS, BLT meeting I put on Friday just because I want to check in with both of those groups and BLT at the end of the week just to see where we're going here and how things worked on the first week. We know we have some cancellations here. You can see that on the right. 1+, no MCA or MAP testing this spring. EKA, question mark, depends on if we come back to school. It's a possibility. We know our Westwood Carnival, unfortunately, we are going to have to pass on that this year. We want to be as consistent as we can, try to do things as similar as we have in the past. So we will continue remotely to meet with SWIM, with BLT, with our PLCs. Please continue with your PLCs. Great way to be supporting each other. PBIS, we will have staff meetings. I'm passing on that this week just as we get up and going. But just know there's a number of things that we'll try to continue doing as best we can. So be aware of those. District parent communication. We met on Thursday remotely with principals and district admin talking about where we are with district learning. One thing they talked about is one of the district goal of trying to decrease confusion. Anytime there's a big change like this, there is confusion. And the district will continue to share out consistent information, the most up-to-date information for our families and for staff. You can see there's a number of things that were shared on Thursday, and I put some links in here. There's a parent email that you can see here that was sent out to parents. There's also a one-pager that went out to parents talking about what does distance learning look like in Bloomington. Also want to point out again, we have a link here about COVID-19 information. That's a great resource for you as staff. And it's a great resource for parents. So if a parent has a question about what we're doing, you can also direct them that way too. So lots of resources there for you to be aware of. Speaking of resources, tech support. If you need tech support, that is getting up and running. It probably will be at a district, at a central location. But if you have a question about technology, your devices, Tim can help with that. His email is here. There's also a link to our tech center information here, and I know that John Weiser sent out more information too on that. So going forward, my understanding is we will get to a point where if your computer or other device needs to be fixed, there'll be a drop-off spot. You'll probably get a different one for short term so that we're not touching each other's things quite as much, but know that there's things in the work for that too. So distance learning, where are we at with distance learning? I know we've done a lot of work on that. There's been a lot of information that's been shared. I do like that we're starting off slow, starting off with one subject. We know that our specialists will be pushing in one lesson per grade level each week. So I just shared this information here. You should have seen this. I'm sure you've seen this by now. You also have this link over here going to a little bit more information about distance learning. So excited about that to see how that works. I know there'll be hiccups. We will get through those. One thing that we know we will have some hiccups with is attendance. And so just some key points that I want to think about us as a school following through on. We want to encourage our families to log in and start checking at about 9 o'clock. We want to be sharing out information for the day, starting that at 9 o'clock at Westwood. If we're consistent with that, that's going to help. If we have kids that are brothers and sisters, if we're all starting at 9 o'clock, that's going to help. I know that we have some devices that are shared among families, which makes it tricky. But if we can try to be as consistent starting at that time, I think that will help a lot. Attendance at the end of your workday, that's when I'm asking you to mark people as absent or in attendance. That's important because we want to keep track of that. If you can see on here, if they haven't participated or interacted in the seesaw activity in any way, that's when we're going to mark them as absent. So what do we do if a kid is doing work later on in the day after you've taken attendance? What I'm going to ask you to do is you find out the next morning that you can see that somebody interacted, so you know that they did something. Go to this form here, Westwood Distance Learning Daily Attendance Corrections link. And if you click on that, you can put in the name of that student and all that information here. If I can move my little handy thing, which is not wanting to move. And that will help. Well, anyway, there we go. Date, last name, basic information, rather than emailing Amy. Why are we asking you to do it that way? If Amy gets inundated by a bunch of emails, that's going to be a lot trickier for her. And so if you could just put the information in, if somebody logged in late, but did do something for that day, that's going to make it a lot easier for us to keep track of. Attendance is going to be a tricky one. We're going to have to keep working on that as we move forward. And we'll do our best with that. Finally, food distribution and childcare. We need volunteers, districts looking for volunteers for that. We know that we have our paraprofessionals helping with that, which is very important. But we know that if we have a bunch of people that do get sick, we're going to need more help with that. And so if you are willing to put in a shift, I can't remember, I said 4 hours, it might be a 3-hour shift. If you click on this link, you can see basic information about what they're looking for. It could be just you're willing to work for one shift one day. It could be that you're willing to work for a week. Take a look at that. Nobody's requiring you to do that. It's something to think about one way that we could help out. So I'm considering doing that myself. I'm planning on signing up for that. It's just one way that I can help out. And obviously, if you're a person that has a weakened immune system or someone else in your family that's with you, that's not a good fit. But if you're able to do that, that's one more thing that we can support each other and support our kids by doing that. Well, that's all I have. I hope you're having a great weekend. I know next week will be different. There'll be a lot of things, a lot of challenges that we have to figure out. But as I said at the beginning, we will do that. Feel free to reach out to me if I can answer any questions. Feel free to reach out to each other. I encourage you to keep talking with each other and communicating and reaching out and checking in with our kids. That's one thing I'm going to try to do next week is pick a number of kids that I just want to call their families and see how they're doing. Because this is hard. I have kids at my house, It is tough to be home for this long a period of time and not be able to socialize and see our friends. And we know that's hard for us, and we know that's hard for our kids. So let's all stick together. Let's work together. And I know we'll get through this. Thanks for all you're doing. Have a great rest of the weekend. And I look forward to touching base with you next week. Take care, everyone.